Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Julia and it's so good to have you here. And today we are doing some preserving. We've got corn, carrots, green peppers, jalapenos, and some apples that I ordered off the fruit truck. They're from British Columbia and they taste delicious and they're gonna make the most perfect applesauce. Now with corn, I'm just doing my sister-in-law's method. I just boil the corn for 6 minutes, put it in an ice bath, trim off the kernels, put them in a bag, and stuff them in the freezer. Something about cutting corn like this is just so unreal therapeutic. Just like that, they're ready to toss in the freezer. I'm so thankful for the carrot harvest that I got this year. I have never really done very much with carrots. This was very new to me. So I just Googled how to store carrots in a refrigerator for a long period of time. And thus far, this method is working. So all you gotta do is, after pulling them from the garden, you give them a good scrub, a good wash. Thankfully, I had a really good helper helping me today. And you toss them in a bag with some paper towel. You poke some holes in there and you can put them and tie the bag. You put them in the fridge and they should store long term. Everything that I read recommended that you check on them at least once a month to make sure that there's no moldy carrots or soft carrots. That way that one moldy carrot doesn't ruin the rest of the carrots in the bag, and they should last for months. So I'll keep you updated on if they actually do. It's so nice. We now have a fridge in our garage that we can store any extra produce, any extra things from the garden. and so that's where these carrots are going. So it's all done, cleaned up, and out of the way. I'm so thankful that I was able to get this done all in one day. I was so happy with my pepper crop this year. All I do, it's super simple, is I cut up the peppers. Once I figure out how to cut a pepper, that is, I cut them up into bite-sized pieces and I toss them in a bag and put them in the freezer. It's so simple, and whenever I need peppers for an omelet or a casserole, or even for when I'm making pasta sauce and it calls for peppers, I could toss these in there because the peppers are ripe way before my tomatoes are ripe and ready to be turned into pasta sauce. So this way it's all done, cleaned up out of the fridge and ready to be used whenever I need them. This is my first time doing anything like this with jalapenos. Usually I just use them for salsa, but this year I didn't need to make salsa. I still had some from last year, so I found a recipe on pickling jalapenos. I didn't want it to be too fancy or too, I don't know, I just wanted it to be like plain jalapenos canned. So I found this recipe, super simple. It's just vinegar, salt, and water as the brine. It leaves all the spice in the jalapenos. It's super delicious, and I highly recommend you try this. I'll leave the recipe down below, by the way. I'm seeing what you're seeing, and yes, my 1-year-old does have a cast on her arm. She fell off the swing, but don't worry, she's fine. She actually has her cast off by now, and it was just a small break. And yeah, it was just one of those things. Like, you have kids, sometimes they fall down, hurt themselves, but we are very thankful that we have a good clinic here and that we got help right away and that she healed up so nice. So with applesauce, I just do a very simple recipe, as little work as possible is the kind of the recipes that I usually go for, just because, as you can see, my kids are usually running around all over the place while I'm trying to can, so I just try to do stuff that's simple, but still that tastes good. So this is just applesauce. I cut and core my apples and wash them, obviously, and then I toss them in a pot and bring them to a boil, and with some water, and I let them get soft and cook through that way. And the kind of apples I'm using today are Royal Gala. I don't think I would order these again. I also got 40 pounds of Honey Crisp, and those apples taste unbelievable, and I'm kind of just saving them. I'm storing them in the fridge in the garage as well. I'm just kind of saving those ones just for fresh eating because they're just so good. And these ones we didn't really like as much, so I figured they would be the ones that would turn into applesauce. And it tasted good. Like, the applesauce tastes really good. I just think the next time I would add more water because it was a little thick, and I would make sure I'd have lemon juice on hand, and I'd for sure put lemon juice in there because it's starting to, like, I canned this a little while ago and it's starting to get really brown. It doesn't look quite as appetizing when it's like that, so next time I would make sure I'd have lemon juice to add to the applesauce. Hindsight is completely 2020, and now looking back, I'm like, I don't know what I was doing, because if you've ever made applesauce before, you know that when it starts boiling after you've blended it, Look, it splatters. It splatters and sparks like the 4th of July. 4th of July? Who am I kidding? I'm Canadian. 1st of July, okay? And Julia, just take it off the oven. I was getting burnt so much. It was crazy. And I just kept fighting through. I was like, oh no, I just really need to cook this again, which, oh man. You don't need to cook it. After you've cooked it down and they're soft and you blend it, you don't have to bring it back up to a boil before you put it in the jars, okay? You put them in the jars and then you water bath can them anyways, so you don't need that second bringing them up to a boil. So learn from my mistakes, learn from my scars, and don't try to boil blended apples because it hurts, okay? As for sweeteners, I just use maple syrup. It just kind of gives it a little bit more of a fall flavor. You can use honey or apple or like sugar, brown sugar even probably works as well. This is just what my girls like, so this is what I do. So as you can see, it's pretty thick. I definitely should have added more water, and I knew it at the time that I was like, oh, this looks really thick. But I was already so burnt and I was so over it, so I just kept on trucking, shoveled that stuff in there, tossed it in the counter for 20 minutes. The girls really like it, so I'm super excited about that. I'm gonna make another batch with the Honeycrisp apples yet. Now I'm just filling the jars to about an inch headspace, and you boil them for 20 minutes in the water bath canner. Yeah, burn myself because I can't grab a pot holder that's literally right beside me. You guys. Oh, man. Oh, and there's my applesauce. It's all done. Thank you so much for watching.